I would go live every day this week. And so far, so good. I knew that Tuesday, which is today, would be a challenge because I had um, work deadlines, meetings, so I couldn't do it during lunch because they schedule this recurring meeting on top of my lunch period. And for some reason, someone always schedules a meeting right after that meeting. So I was just kind of like busy and in a hurry. And then I had to take my dad to an appointment today. And this appointment is like, this appointment, I don't need this on. This appointment is sort of, it's always a hard one for me because my dad is like, it's the it's the big important appointment every so often. And so my dad was in the emergency room and in the hospital a couple weeks ago. And this is sort of like the follow up to that appointment, where we kind of just go over what's happening, what are we doing, is there something new we need to be worried about, or what. So we didn't get any bad news today, so that was like huge for me, because I didn't get any bad news. I didn't want any bad news. He did not either, and I just did not want to handle it anymore. We got, it wasn't like good news, but it just wasn't bad news. So anyway, we got through that, and always like after that appointment, my dad loves fried chicken. So even though with his health and everything, it's just like every now and then it's fine. He eats healthy every other time, but after those appointments, we get fried chicken just to like come down off the nerves of everything. Even Sunday, I kind of knew that this week would be hard and some things I did not want to face that I had to face, some work things also that I'm struggling with. Um, I'm narrowing down why I don't like, it's not the job, I love the work. Why I don't like the job, I'm narrowing it down. I can kind of pinpoint a couple things. And those things really, I have to adjust myself, figure out a way to change myself to be able to deal with it. And I'm going to work on that. But I found something today that was helpful to me, was just to think back on where I was at the start of my career, like right out of college. And I think about how far, like when I first started out of college, I was making like, I think I made like 33 or $34,000 a year. And back then I thought that was some money because I was just making like $10 an hour at a bank. So I was like, ooh, 30 some $1,000s a year. Ooh, that's big money. It was not big money, especially living in Northern Virginia. I mean, they'll eat that up in food. So I remember I had to share. I was living on my own, but then money got tight because the company I worked for, they were trying to cut back on costs. And the boss that I had, she um, she was kind of crooked. So she would have money for herself and for her son and her daughter-in-law that worked there, and they were all doing good. And she had her husband there where they were all doing good, but everybody else had to take a pay cut. And I think some people got laid off, and I had to go get a second job. And it was like a side job. And so, but I got the second job before all of that went down. And it was funny when I told her, I'm like, hey, I got to start leaving like right on time because I got a second job. And she's like, why'd you get a second job? And I'm like, because I need the money. And she's like, you don't know anything else? I'm like, no. And I thought that was weird. She was asking me, and I felt that I needed to get that second job before the announcement came that they were laying off and cutting people's salaries and stuff. So it made my situation even worse. So my lease ended. I ended up getting a roommate. And something was telling me in the back of my head that I should get a roommate agreement to make her sign an agreement where she would not have people over at the house that I did not approve of. She would pay her half of the rent. If she damaged her room, it would be just on her. She would pay for it. I mean, I just had all types of things in this agreement, right? And I just had it like in my spirit, in my brain, and I don't know, just to do it. So I had her sign the agreement. She was pissed. She did not want to sign the agreement. Um, but at the end of it all, her room was damaged and I did not have to pay for it. I sent the landlord the agreement and they charged her for the damage. So thank God I listened on that one. But anyway, I had to move in with her, and part of it was I got the bigger room. And because I had the bigger room, she could have the parking space because it only came with one parking space. So I would park in the visitor spot. And my car got towed. This is like the second time the car got towed. Even though they told me they would not tow my car anymore, I could park in the visitor spot with the little sticker thing. But they kept towing my car. So they towed my car once again. And it was going to be like $110. And I did not have that money. I mean, I wasn't really making any money. And it was so expensive where we were living, even sharing. And I was just like, another hundred some dollars I did not have. So, and you have to pay cash because, of course, the tow places, they only crooked, they just deal in cash. So I called my cousin up and she didn't have any money. So I knew I wasn't going to get any out of her. I just needed to talk to her. And I called her up and I was just like, I'm going to have to pay this $100. I mean, so and so's going to take me to get my car, but I got to go get a credit card advance to go get my car out of tow, whatever. And she's like, "But don't worry, you'll be able to do it. You'll get the money, you'll go and you'll get the car out. Don't worry." And I just was quiet because I was just ready to cry. And I was like, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, I'm just so tired of being tight on cash. I just want to be able to waste $100 and it not mean nothing. I want to be able to waste $100 and it's nothing. Fast forward, not but so many years later, I was in a position where not that I make a habit of wasting money, but if I lose $100, I'm not like stressed. I'm not crying. But in that moment, and the title I titled this video was to pay attention to the vision. So in my mind, when I was quiet for a minute, I was thinking about $100. Like that's nothing in the grand scheme of things. But for me, that was my crying out to like God, like give me a break, like put me in a position to where I have enough, even when bad things happen, I can take care of it. And God made it happen. It wasn't no prayer, it was just like a cry out, where your soul is just tired and you're just like, what else? I got the second job, I got the roommate. Like, what else can I do? You know what I mean? So I just want to share that with you. Like, if you're in a position where you're like, geez, I just need a break. Like, stuff is coming at me. Like, and I know a lot of people are not religious and they're kind of offended by, religion or whatever. And if you are that type that's offended by it, click off, it's okay. But I'm just letting you know what I experienced. And the times now where I'm kind of struggling with, I don't even like my job. I don't like it. But I'm trying to like it because I know I'm supposed to be there because the way things fell into place, I know I'm supposed to be there. I don't know why. I don't know for how long, but I got to find a way to make it through and like it. Um, but part of the blessing that I also want to share with you is like in those times when you're going through things that are hard, still pay attention to the vision and you're going to follow the vision. You're going to write it down. The way that I found my first husband, and I didn't even know what I was doing. I just was like, I'm going to make a list of all the things I want in a husband. And I made my list and I got everything on the list. And then as I grew older and I started realizing, girl, you're missing a whole lot off that list. I put more stuff on the list. And because, when I was married, I just wasn't, it wasn't the marriage for me. And now I have everything on the list. Okay. But pay attention. Those little things that you did is not accident. You can repeat those things throughout life and you can repeat the same things you did to get your blessings before. So get your vision together, make your list, stand on your list, cry out when you need help, when you're at your breaking point, cry out so that you can get blessed, so you know that you're doing the right thing. You're following the path. You're doing the thing that he wants you to do. You're going that way, even if you don't understand it in the moment. But before I got that job, I had a dream. Um, my very first job, before I got the very first job, I had a dream that there were like a heart. It was a heart shape on the ceiling, and the heart shape was made out of like worms, and I guess kind of like sneaky worms or whatever. And my mom came to me and she's like, "Hey, I'm feeling like you need to just be careful when you go to work. Just be careful of the people around you. Don't say too much. Don't do too much or whatever. Just watch yourself." And so I did. I kept it in the back of my head. At the end of it all, it turned out that my boss, who was also the owner, her favorite thing was hearts. And it just brought back to me like the dream I had was the heart of worms on the ceiling in the dream. And then I get to meet the, the lady that owned the place, the boss. She loved hearts. And it turned out she was the snake. Because at the end of it all, she sent me a letter from her lawyers, basically trying to intimidate me to be like, you took information from us, you spread information about us, and now if you don't return the information to us, we're going to sue you. And I was like, I got this letter from, so the first thing I did was I panicked because I'm getting this legal letter saying that I took information, and if I don't give the information back, they're going to sue me. And I didn't have any information, but I was trying to figure out, okay, so how can I get something so I can send them stuff back so they'll leave me alone, they won't sue me. And I was just thinking, so I just like I calmed. I thought about it for a couple of days because I had to respond to this legal letter within a couple of days. So I was like, oh my God, they're going to sue me. They're going to tell my new employer that I stole information. So I was like really worried. I was young, I didn't really know. So I went online. Back then, online wasn't like a big thing, but I was able to get into one of these legal chats. And I told them that my previous boss had sent me a legal letter telling me that I took information, I spread confidential information, and they want their stuff back or they're going to sue me. And so the person was like, well, do you have the information? I'm like, no. Did you share the info? I'm like, no. And they said, well, whatever you have, just give it back to them and they'll leave you alone. But in my heart, I knew that was probably not, I didn't have anything to give them. And I was thinking, well, maybe I could, because my employer that I was working for, they actually audited that company. So I could get some information just to give them something to get off my back. But then I thought about it some more and I was like, no, you know what? I'm not going to feed into the fear of being sued by this company. I'm just going to respond back. So I wrote my own little letter back and I told them that I did not share information about their company. I do not have information on their company. Um, and what else did I put in there? Oh, in their letter, they said that I had signed this non disclosure agreement and that they included a copy of this non disclosure saying that I wouldn't talk about their company. But they didn't include the copy. And the reason they didn't include the copy of this letter was because I had signed the letter like almost when I was getting ready to quit. Like I had been working there over a year. But they didn't want me to know that I had signed it like way after. So even if I did spread information, it would have been before I even signed the stupid letter. So, and I said, and in your letter, you said that you gave me a copy of the non disclosure and it was not included. So that's what I had replied back to them. And all they did was send me a letter with the non disclosure agreement in it. That I had signed. And of course, it was dated like way after I had started employment. So they couldn't even sue me anyway, even if they wanted to. But had I given them information, had I gone to my employer who audited them, who did have some information on them, just to get them off my back, that would have given them ammunition to say, see, here's the information that she shared with whoever. And I would have, they probably could have sued me and probably my employer too. But yeah, so those little blessings, those little things in your life that kind of keep you out of trouble, to pay attention to those little things. And it becomes where those things are a habit, you know, not a habit, but a pattern. You'll start to notice those patterns that kind of lead up to like, whew, I'm glad I didn't get caught up in that. But anyway, I really just wanted to get on here and say hi. I do see a couple comments in here. Can you send me V Bucks? No, I'm not gonna send you any whatever that is. If I had V Bucks, I wouldn't give them away. All right, do you play Fortnite? No, but I do play. I do play Royal Match, and my screen name is Queen Kitty. So if you're on Royal Match and you see Queen Kitty, that is I, that is me, that is she, and I will crush you. Okay. So anywho, I will talk to you later on. I'm gonna try to go live tomorrow. But you know what would be really helpful is if you give me topics that you want me to talk about, and I will share it with you. But I thought that this was a really special topic because I'm looking back on things that have happened over the course of my career, and I kind of paid attention to the little voice, and I'm many cases I'm so glad that I did, and those were many blessings. So anyway, I hope you have a big blessing tomorrow for the remainder of the week. It's been wonderful getting on live with you tomorrow. It's still part of my goal to go live every single day this week, but give me some topics in the comments and I'll talk about those. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Good night.